Morrowind is one of the most iconic role-playing games in history, known best for its fantastical landscapes, flying jellyfish, and waterlogged NPCs in Balmora, but we can't all be perfect. And Morrowind was first introduced to the world in 2002, rapidly achieving critical acclaim in the charts and becoming a Game of the Year title very quickly. We even interviewed Morrowind's Ken Rolston in 2014, now working at Turbine, and his contributions made to the game more than a decade ago now helped shape what Morrowind became and why it was such a regarded title in the games industry. For creative lead Rolston, the game is, quote, like jazz, he told us in the interview, and said so many notes that you may not like all of them, but you have so much to choose from that it's exciting, and I could not agree more with that analysis. In our 2014 interview with the former Morrowind developer, Rolston also commented on Oblivion, which was old at this point too, stating that when you look at a product like Oblivion, it's far better software, but in Morrowind, there's so much delicious nonsense. We couldn't agree more with both of those statements, and that's perhaps why the modding community is still fully alive today. Even if looking outside of Morrowind's unarguably aged software, relative newcomer Skyrim is brimming with reimaginations of the game's key territories, even its entire continent in some cases. And Skyrim has an endless supply of mods and references to the third game in the series, that'd be, again, Morrowind. There's lately been much discussion of multiplayer Morrowind and ground-up, reimagined Morrowind mods. They've both been tried before in Oblivion 2. Readaptations of test games have rarely seen full delivery due to the overwhelming nature of such a project, and multiplayer attempts have often fallen short. Just on the multiplayer side alone, we've tried almost all of them at Gamers Nexus, and it usually ends in frustration, as the best case scenario is generally just seeing the other player, if not all of their clothes and armor. But the current suite of mods hopes to properly recreate the game in newer engines, some even with multiplayer add-ons, and there's a couple of them today that we're going to talk about. The three main mods and their differences that we're looking at will be Morrowind-related frontrunners Skywind, Morrowind Rebirth, and OpenMW, or Open Morrowind. So that's Skywind, Morrowind Rebirth, and Open Morrowind. Skywind is probably the most discussed in past months. This is a mod of Skyrim, hence the name, and uses Skyrim's more mature engine and updated game mechanics, including updated combat and spell mechanics and interfaces, as a backbone for a pure Morrowind recreation. Skywind does what the old Baldur's Gate 2 Redux mod was attempting to do in Dragon Age. It rips data from an existing Morrowind install and ports it into the Skywind mod as executed using the Test 5 executable. Back when we were helping the Dragon Age modders with their Baldur's Gate 2 remake, this was strictly for legal reasons and to force ownership of both games, so they'd actually port in scripts and dialogue and all this stuff from the older game, and therefore require you to own both, in that case, Baldur's Gate 2 and Dragon Age. That's probably what the Skywind team has in mind here too, but we're not 100% sure. Skywind is currently in an alpha state and not publicly playable. The mod is completely remaking all of the textures, meshes, models, and effects, providing a visually updated look for Morrowind. And some of the game systems are mixing too. Crafting and smithing, for instance, will be available in Skywind. The skill tree may be overhauled or mixed and matched too, since Morrowind had 27 skills and Skyrim has simplified down to 18, but introduces some new ones again, like smithing. The mod is ultimately an updated look and engine for Morrowind, but will contain all the same Morrowind cities, locales, NPC dialogue, and quests of Test 3. If completed, the modders hope that Skywind and Morrowind will be effectively indistinguishable in terms of core gameplay content, but improved by way of visuals and engine mechanics and taking advantage of modern hardware. There is no public multiplayer plan for Skywind at this time. It is purely a revival of Morrowind on the Skyrim engine. The next mod is Morrowind Rebirth. This one is similar in some ways to Skywind, but made by a completely different team and with different objectives. This mod, born in 2007 and updated as recently as December 31st, 2015, is a complete graphics, sound, and feature overhaul atop the existing Morrowind game and engine. Morrowind Rebirth is in version 3.5 right now and already has rebuilt cities, new places to visit, and more than 20 creatures and monsters added on top of the existing creature and monster base for Morrowind. It's also got bug fixes, balance tweaks, new music, denser cities, and more. The mod is compatible with most texture replacers and mesh enhancement mods, but does make some of its own seamless texture changes to remove those unsightly tiling effects seen in Morrowind. Unlike Skywind, Morrowind Rebirth lives within the Morrowind toolset and executable entirely and does not make use of modern engine tech. This is a more mechanically true mod to the original Morrowind experience, but is hamstrung in a few technological ways. For players who'd rather experience the look and feel of Skyrim's combat and overall gameplay, but want a Morrowind world, this won't do it for you. But for anyone who's still in love with Morrowind at its core and wants to add on to an already great game world, Morrowind Rebirth is worth a look and already available for download. The last of the big three Morrowind mods is Open Morrowind, abbreviated by modders as OpenMW. This is a younger attempt at Morrowind-inspired modding and exists only in version 0.37 as of now, so it's definitely an alpha. Open Morrowind builds a completely new engine for Test 3, including a graphics engine rewrite, new renderers, and scaled graphics hardware capabilities. It is with these tools, especially the new engine, that Open Morrowind modder Okulo has been able to push for new bloom effects, shaders, and the implementation of other modern graphical effects for games. Interestingly, it is also introducing multiplayer and already has a functioning multiplayer demo. Open Morrowind's multiplayer won't be finalized and fully supported until much later, but its current state allows for players to see one another, allows accurate item depiction as equipped to those characters, stats transferring and location mapping to other players in the same world, and basic movement. That's about it right now, but for anyone who's ever tried multiplayer in test games, that is a lot of functionality considering just how tough it is to get this stuff to work. As for the core focus of Open Morrowind, the mod is an open source engine that's been created to run Morrowind, but with a new editor and new graphics capabilities. Okulo hopes that version 1.0 of the engine will allow players to create their own games from scratch, which is a much different target than the previous two mods we discussed, and will support contents and import of those content items from Tribunal, Morrowind, Blood Moon, and other user-made mods. If this works out, it means a large mod base on the day of the engine's launch and will allow some rapid expansion. Version 1.0 will also aim to improve Morrowind's interface, physics, and AI, though truly, cliff racers are flawless as they are. Design bugs and saving glitches will be resolved, journaling resolved and updated, and graphics updated pretty heavily. The engine creator has also indicated a wishlist for Android and iOS support, though isn't prioritizing either, and that has as many interesting implications as you're thinking of right now. Morrowind reserves a special place in the heart of gamers, at least here at our site, and we're hopeful that some of the nostalgia can be recaptured and overhauled with these three very different, unique, and inspiring attempts at modding. Learn more about Open Morrowind at openmw.org. Learn about Morrowind Rebirth on Test Nexus for Morrowind, and learn more about Skywind at testrenewal.com. And of course, to support our efforts, help us out on Patreon by clicking the link in the post-roll video, or just check us out on gamersnexus.net for high-quality article coverage of games and PC hardware. I'll see you all next time.